I am about to show you my true power, psych! Hey guys, MasakoX here. Today, we're going to be delving into some more Dragon Ball Super reviewing in a little feature that I like to call Super Detailed. This is the part of my discussion series where I get to actually sit back and look at the episodes that we've seen in Super recently in a little bit more detail, a little bit more nuance, a little more subtle, instead of me just kind of having to rush through everything just to get the review out. We can sit back and just think. Episodes 128 and 129. These were the two stories which truly set the stage for the end game of the Tournament of Power. We saw the stage set for Goku and Jiren to go at it uninterrupted, showing their true power. Right? Eventually, well, we'll see it in episode 130 at the very least. Yeah, let's start off with episode 128, Noble Pride to the End of Vegeta Falls. We start off the episode remembering the fact that Android 17 had sacrificed himself in the name of Universe 7. We're not talking about elimination here, we're talking about elimination from life, which results in Goku really lying down in an awkward and uncomfortable position. Yeah, that doesn't look nice. Then we cut to Jiren basically taunting Vegeta for the majority of the episode. And by taunting Vegeta, he's therefore taunting the entire audience because we are trying to establish here that Jiren is the baddie of the situation. Yes, it does mean that anyone who wasn't too sure about what Jiren was about can kind of just say that, oh, I kind of want to root for the good guys. Because as I've said before, if a good guy is fighting a good guy in Dragon Ball, most people wouldn't know who to actually back. Then we have the sequence of Vegeta desperately trying to hold his own against Jiren, despite the fact he doesn't really have any energy anymore. And yeah, this is kind of summing up the really bad writing inconsistency. There are different writers for every episode, but in 126 it was made quite clear that Vegeta had just burnt through all of his energy. He barely had any, he could just function. In 127, he suddenly had it all again, because he could go to Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, which is now the moniker of that form. And back in 128, he doesn't have the energy again. So it's almost like 127, you could have just cut that out. But oh no, wait, we wouldn't have had the 17 thing. Dang it, 127, your life has been spared. However, I've got to say something here. That Vegeta's stubbornness isn't being fueled by pure pride anymore. I think it's something different. It's about love and protection. Love and passion, protection for his own universe and what is actually in it. It's not just being driven on pure arrogance. Even though he didn't actually win this battle, this will go down in Vegeta's character arc as being one of his, one of his most valiant efforts. I was actually really worried about his character arc and development at the beginning of this arc, but I feel like all the wrongs have now been righted, so whew. And then we have the flashback scene, which I probably will think is one of the better uses of recycled animation in this arc. It just works here. It works with the visuals, it works with the music and the timing. Something about it just clicked. It was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, I like it. But by showcasing these exact events in this exact way, it has shown quite well that Vegeta has managed to be able to strike a balance between his passion for fighting as well as his general life. He's basically done the same thing that Gohan's doing. And I'd also like to bring to your attention that Jiren has responded to the way Vegeta's trying to defend himself. He is allowing Vegeta to attack him, go all out as hard as he can before creaming him. In one scene in particular, you get a sense that Jiren looks down at his fist and he kind of looks at it with distaste, as in like, do I really have to do this? And yes, granted, during this sequence we're mostly hearing Vegeta's internal monologue rather than Jiren's, but even without that luxury, we can still see there's a pretty obvious conflict going inside the grey space alien. This seed was planted with the likes of 17 actually doubting Jiren's own integrity, and now they're being harvested by the likes of Vegeta and then eaten by Goku, because Goku eating goes hand in hand. Vegeta managed to find an emotional opening within Jiren and caused him to doubt himself, and now he's not that entirely unflappable. But yeah, Jiren ends the whole thing with a bit of a mercy punch, because if Jiren went all out at that time, I think he could have probably eviscerated Vegeta. But yeah, Vegeta was holding his own. He just was enough to have him flown out of the ring and Vegeta not being able to put up much resistance. And at the same time, it made sure that Vegeta wasn't utterly humiliated. But what really kind of spoiled that moment for me was the energy transfer between Vegeta and Goku. The action itself is pretty valiant, and we have seen it before from Vegeta in some of the movies. But this time it just felt a little bit janky, and the way the energy was transferred to Goku just looked really unusual. Luckily though, everything is kind of redeemed when Vegeta arrives in the grandstands, and everyone is basically congratulating him and respecting him for all his valiant efforts, because we have to remember, Vegeta has been a machine in this tournament. He is the MVP in terms of stats. But yeah, remember me talking about that internal conflict that Jiren was having? We're about to get more proof of that coming up now. Even Goku doesn't believe that the Pride Trooper is just basically fighting for absolutely nothing. Goku can see right through the guy. We saw it back in episode 122, and we're seeing it again at the end of 128.
I know there's something going on inside that little noggin of yours.
Jiren, like hit earlier on in the series, is starting to come alive thanks to Goku's passion and strength. Goku does that! And then, of course, we have the seeds of Ultra Instinct beginning to blossom. Yay. Yeah, forgive me for being a little less enthusiastic, but we have seen it twice before, and the impact is never as good as the first time you saw it. The abilities are fantastic, and the visuals are incredible, but the fact that we saw it initially 6 months ago, it does take some of the oomph out of it. Yeah, I don't know what it was about this episode. The second half just didn't really resonate well with me, and that's very unusual for Super, because it's the second half that usually picks everything up. Vegeta then sets the Ultra Machine a-go with just the sound of his own voice. In a flash, fond memories of his fellow teammates, even from the likes of Frieza, give Goku the strength to carry on one more time in the Ultra Instinct technique / transformation. This moment is a very satisfying way to start the last waltz. And I'm not gonna lie, Jiren's response, having not expected this again, of the "NANI?" is probably one of the most satisfying "NANIs" in the entirety of Super. And yeah, I know that some of Goku's punches weren't that satisfying, but this one, oh. This one's a keeper. So yeah, my feelings about this entire episode, I'm gonna hold my tongue on it for now, because I want to explain the next episode and actually compare the two. Time for episode 129. Transcendent limits surpassed, Ultra Instinct mastered. After 2 weeks of basically nothing, we start things off with a bang, because we get almost a full family portrait of all the angels present. They are occupying the 2 uppermost rows of the entire stand, as if to basically say, yeah, we're running the show here. You gotta remember that we're at the top of this particular food chain. Pecking order, anyone? And yeah, that entire sequence was really refreshing, given the fact that in the last few episodes, we kind of got used to the fact that we mostly recap what happened in the last episode for about maybe a couple of minutes, in some cases the first 5 minutes. And then we get a really nice shot of the gleaming and glistening remnants of the Tournament of Power arena. Yeah, I mean, the arena was very impressive on its own, but now that it's been completely decimated and half of it's utterly destroyed, it's a really cool backdrop, and that would make any person's wallpaper on their device would just look, whoa, smoking. The situation feels really tense here, because there's barely any dialogue, and it just increases even more so when we see the Zenos, and we usually expect them to go like, "Oh, yeah," or make some kind of inane comment, but no, they don't say anything. They just put their god pads down and watch. Just that. Whoa. That actually says something. I think I know what they're doing here. We're being distracted by all of these different things, the change of pace. The animators and the writers are trying to make it clear to us that they want us to forget about the fact that Frieza is still in the ring somewhere. If he had been eliminated, we'd have heard Frieza in the back just going, oh, that monkey is lame. He'd be making comments to the gods because he just finds them all in contempt. But that recycled animation comes back with a vengeance later on in the episode, and it just feels really odd this late into the game. And I think that's kind of deliberate here. They're using the fact Jiren doesn't really have to respond to anything that much by basically just raising a hand and blocking, and the fact that Ultra Instinct is derived from basically instantaneous movement, and you could just go like, boop, right there. You could cut corners, and it would still look really cool. They're basically being very shrewd here. The true hero of this episode isn't the likes of Goku or Jiren or even Vegeta. It's that of Whis. His narration feels really informative and powerful in this episode. He's effectively trying to deviate the audience, not just about the whole Frieza thing. He's trying to prevent us from actually looking inside Goku's mind in his current Ultra Instinct state by just focusing on the action and what he's done rather than what's going on. Yeah, sure, what he's saying is pretty factual, but I think it's actually laced with a combination of pride and concern, as well as, dare I say it, love and respect. Oh yeah, while the visuals in this first half of the episode are okay, they are pretty decent, it doesn't really show us anything new. It's more of Goku and Jiren fighting. Goku tries to do something, Jiren blocks it. It's different animation, sure, but the content is still the same. But what I really liked in this new episode though, is all of the symbolism that was in here. Now that we're actually getting close, I hope, in seeing the likes of Jiren and Goku's full power, they're starting to actually show what their powers derive from. Because if you look at Jiren, he's starting to actually glow like the sun. The red aura in a round state, it's looking like the fire of a star. And as we've talked about before with Goku's power and the color theory about Ultra Instinct, is that he's basically representing the moon. It's been connected with Goku throughout his entire time in Dragon Ball, you know, with the Ozaru and the full moon. And Jiren is the perfect counterpart with the whole sun power thing. Oh yeah, I've got to talk about the Kamehameha shield. That was a really neat novelty. I don't think I've seen it being used in that way before. And then of course we have Vegeta's moment where he's just talking down the likes of Belmod. And I think this is a really good transition here. This is the beginning of Vegeta's development into the Vegeta that we saw at the end of Z. It's beginning right here. And then we have the breathing. I want to talk about this so much. I don't want to waste all my best material on this video, so I'm going to go into it in full length at a later date. So I'll just say this. This particular scene is probably one of the most spiritual things that we've seen in the entirety of Dragon Ball Super. And I absolutely love it. It feels like Goku's starting a new life with that particular breath. And yeah, that recycled animation comes back with a vengeance. Yeah, it's okay to use recycled animation, but you gotta be smart about it. Try and hide it. But we saw the same bit of Goku and Jiren kind of slicing and dicing each other just 3 or 4 times within the space of maybe a minute or two. But I'm afraid it just cheapened the entire product. Thankfully, all of this is saved due to the fact that Goku spends the entirety of this tussle with his eyes closed, truly calling into Ultra Instinct and showing that Goku's starting to get it. He's not relying on his eyes, letting his instincts take over. He's feeling the force, as it were. And during this entire thing, Whis capitalizes on the positive trend going forth with some of his best monologuing to date. And now we get to my favorite part in the entire episode. Beerus basically telling everyone to shut up and watch. That was probably one of the most intimidating and powerful moments I've ever seen in Beerus, or at least since we ever saw Beerus in the Battle of Gods movie. You get a sense that Beerus is now actually stepping up to the forefront again, instead of taking a back seat, and he's now being a god of destruction. He's starting to come alive. He's not the lazy kitty that he once was. He's doing his job. And yeah, Goku actually turning his powers on the offensive and opening up a galaxy well was just like, whoa, okay, this is turning out to be really awesome. We get another breath from Goku and we get Jiren talking. He's usually very silent, but he's starting to come alive at this very moment. It's pretty interesting. Jiren's dropping his facade even more. So, the Mastered Ultra Instinct reveal. This felt just as impressive, if not more so, than the original Ultra Instincts did. What we are seeing is what we are feeling. It just works. It's fast, it's scary, it's brutal, it's unusual. The fact that Jiren cannot even get a finger on him in this form right now is just totally awe-inspiring. The fact that all the other gods of destruction stand up to watch what Goku's doing is the perfect way to say, yeah, Goku, we forgive you. They're basically accepting Goku into their fold in terms of power. I can imagine that at this stage, Goku is more powerful than some of those gods of destruction out there. But yeah, let's try and sum this up here. What I really liked about 128 and 129 was the development of the character arcs for that of Jiren and Vegeta. You felt like they were different and that they'd evolved in some way. But I feel like they were not quite the same quality of that of 109 and 110 in terms of the Ultra Instinct and the whole package. I felt like Toei did too much too soon. As a result, these 2 episodes have fallen victim to their predecessor's success. If this was just the end of a regular arc, these episodes wouldn't be bad at all. But in terms of them being the end of the entire series, they just feel a bit lackluster. They have really great moments, of course they do. But in terms of the overall package, it's just, I don't know. it's good, but it should be better for the end of the series. But I think the likes of 129 can give us some ideas about why Goku might have not had any meaningful or any character arc in the entire series. We might be able to talk about that in a future video. All I can say is that I really hope that episode 130 is good. So what do you guys think? Did you like these episodes? Do you think they were better than episodes 109 and 110? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later!